On the cloud, correct?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yeah. All right. Good morning, everyone. How are you all?
Good morning. Good morning. Sure.
They all said they could hear us before.
Okay. All right. So hopefully you guys have received the meeting agenda for today's SRC meeting for November 6th, 2025. We're just going to go ahead and get started. I know we're running a little bit behind, so thank you for your patience today. We're going to go ahead and we do have one new member, so we'll go ahead and do the introductions. As you all know, my name is Anjali McGugan. I am a supervisor here with RSA and also the chairperson for the SRC.
Good morning. I'm Andy Reese, the director at DDS, and I'll allow her to introduce herself, but I'll also introduce, when I sent something out to all DDS staff, I also included the SRC in welcoming our new deputy director for RSA. No one's happier than me to welcome our new deputy director for RSA, Dr. Shannon Austin. So.
Good morning. As you guys just heard, my name is Dr. Shannon Austin. I'm the new RSA Deputy Director. It's a pleasure to be in the house and working with staff and looking forward to working with everyone.
Good morning, everyone. This is Brittany Tarver. I'm the VR General Project Manager. Just happy to be here today. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Rachel McKinley. I am the policy analyst with RSA.
And then we will go down the list here. Berta, if you can hear me, if you want to introduce yourself, you're next on the list in alphabetical order, even though we skipped out. Sorry. Go back.
Hi, good morning. You said that I need to say my name?
Yes, please. If you
Introduce
just introduce
myself.
yourself.
I'm sorry. Hi, good morning, everybody. My name is Berta Mata, and I am from Advocate for Justice in Education. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And Alec, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, good morning. I'm Allison White. I'm the Executive Director of the DC Developmental Disabilities Council. And welcome, Dr. Austin. It'll be nice to meet you in person soon.
Thank you, Allison. And Alex Sherman.
One and two. Good morning. I'm Alex Sherman. I'm the representative get my chair in. Alex Sherman, representative. Welcome.
Thank you, Alex. And then Miss Chloe.
Hi, everyone. My name is Chloe Peoples. I'm a staff attorney at Disability Rights DC, and I'm the Client Assistance Program Advocate. And welcome, Dr. Austin. Very nice to meet you virtually.
Thank you. Ms. Russell.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Deborah Russell. I'm the Associate Director for Performance and Impact at the WIC. Glad to be here.
Thank you. And Ms. Johnson.
Hi, everyone. Michelle Johnson, DC Office of the State Superintendent for Education and Development. Congratulations and welcome.
Thank you. And Ms. Susan Brooks.
Hi, everyone. I'm Susan Brooks. I'm the Chief Innovation Officer at RCM of Washington. Happy to be here and welcome, Dr. Austin.
Thank you all. We do have a few other members that just trying to look, are usually here, but not present, some RSA reps, so, but this is usually our SRC group. So to start the meeting today, we can go ahead and start just with the committee updates. I know that several of you guys met, and so whoever wants to go first, any of the chairs from those committees, you may start with any of your updates, please.
I can start for the policy committee. We have met at least once, maybe twice. Hard to remember in the past couple of months. But we have reviewed a couple policies. We're in the process of reviewing the intake procedure now that the new system is kind of, been up and running for a few months. So we can incorporate some of that stuff into the policy or the procedure. We're also reviewing the DDS case transfer policy and also working on the due process policy, keeping in mind some changes to mediation coming. And we're also looking at the bylaws. I think what would be helpful for that is for every committee to take a look at their section. And I can send out those sections to each committee head to take a look at the section that talks about your duties to see if it still kind of lines up with what you think your main goals and things you want to be working on as your committee, making sure it reflects that. So we're also going to be taking a look at that coming up. But that's what we've got going on.
Sounds good, thank you.
I'm happy to go next for consumer and empowerment. We met twice in September to talk kind of about how to get consumer feedback, at what point within the process, where do we, kind of touch people, and how do we touch them in a way that's we're getting good data and feedback, but not overwhelming people with 20 million surveys and questions. And so we met a lot about that. And then we also met to kind of create a smaller survey to be able to, Chloe was nice enough to kind of man a table at the Employment First Summit to try to get some initial feedback from folks so that we can kind of use that feedback to shape how we proceed and use that feedback to kind of work with us as to how, to best move forward and see what's important to folks. But unfortunately, that didn't go quite as planned. We did not get the response rates that we were hoping for. And so in our next meeting in November, which is TBD, but I'll be sending something out soon, we'll talk about how to kind of shift gears to kind of get the initial response that we might need to move forward in a meaningful way. And that's it from us.
Okay, and we have the media committee as well as the nominating committee remaining. Any updates, Miss Allison?
Hi, everyone. This is Allison White with the nominating committee. We met in June and then had a little bit of email communication after that. The membership of the SRC was mostly good at that time, and so we decided we would meet as needed. I think we probably have to come together again sometime soon. We drafted a like a one-pager of the nominating committee's purpose and duties, and that is, I'm catching up on this, that I didn't get any major feedback on that, so that should be final, and I could send that out to the full SRC. That might be helpful for the bylaws also, to just use the same language for what the nominating committee does. And yeah, so I think I'll connect with Charlisa probably to try to get some help with scheduling a meeting in the next couple of months. I don't know if this is a good time to talk about it, but I know one of our members passed away in September, Georges, from the Center for Independent Living. And I think that there were a couple other vacancies, but we'll want to come back together again and talk through that.
We're working on the replacement from the Silk with the mayor's office of talent appointments. The Silk has identified
Oh, awesome.
people to be on the SRC. There's just the issue currently that the Silk exists as a, well, that in the Silk's plan, they need to establish themselves as a separate entity and a 501c3 that includes an executive director. That person is not on the Silk board. The Silk board supervises that person. And so the mayor's office was saying, well, this requires someone from the Silk. And we said, well, yeah, the executive director is from the Silk. So we're just going back and forth about who would be the appropriate person, because it will be either Darnice or a representative from the Silk. But we will have one, I expect, by the next meeting.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should have a representative from the Silk by the next meeting, who's actually at the meeting.
That's great. I know one thing that we talked about in the one pager of purpose and duties, an area of confusion that I had. So I'm saying it out loud in case anyone else was also confused. Some of the something in the bylaws said that we had to have at least 25 members, but the actual requirement is 15, at least 15. So we could have more. But we had 15, and so that was why in the nominating committee we said, you know, if we don't have work to do to nominate people, then, you know, we'll meet as needed. But is that correct? We need at least 15. So that was one of the revisions I was making in our one pager.
Yes, because one of the issues is we have a 20-year-old mayor's order, and we're updating the mayor's orders regarding the composition of the Silk and the SRC. And then we have the federal requirements regarding membership in the Silk and the SRC. And we are proposing a revised mayor's order that tracks the requirements of the federal grant regarding the membership of the SRC, rather than, I mean, the Silk and the SRC both, I think, used to require 25 members, which is actually, I mean, challenging to get that many people. And for some groups, you're getting to a point that you might have too many there. People who come to some of the meetings, maybe not this one, but the other one, would appreciate what I mean.
Cool.
But yeah, we're like in a really good place in terms of membership on the SRC. We just have to get a new person appointed from the Silk.
Sounds good. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Allison. All right, anything from you, Ms. Russell, from the media committee? Ms. Russell? Okay, maybe she stepped away. We'll come back. I can circle back towards the end. The next item on the agenda is providing an update in reference to, bring up my notes. In reference to our PCO work groups. If you remember from the last meeting, we were asking for volunteers to participate on the PCO work group to discuss just different, well, with the well, at one point it was 2 committees, but for the purpose of RSA, the committee formed into one committee where we just kind of discussed what the provider or the rates and fees for providers. So there's a few of us that's on that board or that committee. And so since the last meeting, we've had an opportunity to meet twice. And during those 2 meetings, we have discussed, we have actually a large participation from providers that we work with, specifically our job placement providers. And we have had an opportunity to discuss what the rates are currently. So the rates that we as the agency pays for the various services that are provided to our clients here. And we've reviewed those rates and also looked at other rates within the DMV. So I believe Rachel McKinney, if you want to add anything to that, because she did an excellent job with compiling a spreadsheet, kind of separating categories where we could compare what different states in our region were providing, and those states included Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. So we were able to kind of pull all of those fees for various services together and again compare those. And so at the conclusion of our last meeting, we asked the providers a series of questions related to basically just saying, what do you feel would be comparable to the services that you provide for our clients? And so hopefully we expect to receive some feedback if we have not already received that feedback. And then our next meeting will be to discuss the feedback and hopefully, well, Andy would say by the end of this year, we will increase those fees for our providers. And we might even have, new structure of how our services are provided, and hopefully we'll get, better outcomes and happier providers. And that's the long-term goal. Did I leave anything out for that?
No, honestly, you didn't leave anything.
Okay. All right. Anybody from the committee have any questions about that? Or would like to join? Any questions? I know that Susan and Chloe both have been participants on that committee, and we've appreciated their input as well. All right, if there's no questions, we'll move on to the director's update. So I'll let you, Mr. Reese, take over.
I'm happy to provide what will be my last update. Going forward, Dr. Austin will provide this. Just a couple of things to comment on, keeping in mind real important things that are upcoming. It is the 3rd year in our cycle to do our comprehensive statewide needs assessment. And so we'll be beginning the procurement process very soon so that we can get started on that. I hope at the latest by the beginning of calendar year 2026, so that it will be completed before the end of the fiscal year. People may recall that I gave a presentation on the most recent one about a year ago. The thing is, they're due every 3 years. If you're late completing it, it doesn't change the due date of the next one. And so if it feels like it hasn't been 3 years, it's because it hasn't been, but it's due next year. So we will get this one completed by September 30th, 2026. The other thing that we have upcoming is a state plan amendment. People may recall we now have a unified workforce development state plan. That's a 4-year plan. 2 years into the plan, we review the plan and make any changes. As you know, we just did this because our 4-year plan was conditionally approved because we didn't have the, because we hadn't completed our comprehensive statewide needs assessment yet. And so we submitted an amendment to our plan in July. this may have an impact on how much we need to amend in our plan since we just amended it and it goes through the full 4 years of the plan. With that said, I would like to ask, perhaps we could have an ad hoc committee that would work with us on reviewing the current goal priorities and goals in the plan and making any recommendations for needed changes. I'm just going to put this out there as something to keep in mind, not something that I hope is not in the plan, but something that as we're at the beginning of our budget development process, to the extent an order of selection or a waiting list for services for RSA is needed, that would have to be included in this plan. And so that will likely be one of the issues we'll be discussing because the timing of that actually fits in fairly well. The mayor's budget is released in March. And so if the mayor's budget included a reduction that required an order of selection for RSA, we would know all of that at about the same time. Our plan needs to be complete by March so that it can be approved by July 1. I'm just putting that out there so people are aware that it's an issue that would have to be discussed. To the extent it's needed, it would have to be included in the plan, could not be implemented then until July. One other quick thing about the PCO Sustainability Committee, just so that people, we have begun the process of procurement so that we can get a subject matter expert to help us with the structural issues around the rates. I wouldn't expect structural changes to the rates or in our plan, we have the number of days, but for more than 6 months. There's a lot of work that's going to go into that. What we hope to do is engage with a subject matter expert who can assess the effectiveness of our current rates, look at other rate structures, make a recommendation about the rate structure, have some focus group meetings with providers, with community members, and then have a new rate structure that will be recommended to us and put in place. That whole process, I expect, would take at least 6 months. So we'd be talking about something much later this fiscal year or starting in fiscal year 27, which is the reason I wanted us to more quickly address the adequacy of the current rates. While I have concerns about the structure of the current rates, I have no question in my mind that when you haven't truly raised your rates for 10 years, they're not adequate. And so we're looking at making increases within the current structure, but then reviewing whether we need to change the structure of our rates to ensure that we are incentivizing in our rates what we want to incentivize in terms of employment outcomes for people. I don't have a lot of update here, but just as informationally, and Anjali may have more update, we have transitioned to our new case management system and are having regular meetings, have staff from the company that supports the case management system to make sure that the kinks in that rollout are resolved. I would say to prevent them, but yeah, that didn't happen. So we are meeting with them. I know that actually Brittany is one of the people who's keeping a long list of fixes that are needed and tracking those fixes to make sure that we're that the system is being implemented effectively. We were not the first state to transition to their new system. So our hope in not being the first state was that meant that all this stuff would be worked out. But that was a hope. I seem to remember someone talking about having hope, that's a bad thing. But anyway, so we are moving along with that as best we can and staying in regular touch with them and trying to keep them on track with resolving issues as they arise.
And I would say on the ground, just working and supervising the counselors, I do feel that their comfortability with using, the new system informed is definitely improved. So if you guys are on the provider end, you should definitely see where you should see, service authorizations and things of that sort being pushed out quicker than maybe back in towards the end of summer when we had just transitioned. So if you're still receiving or hearing any of those issues, please definitely communicate that to the supervisors. You can send me an email and I could distribute it even if I'm not overseeing the case that it's in reference to. Any other questions? I mean, not questions, but comments from,
That's all I have.
okay. All right, let's, Shannon, Dr. Austin.
I don't really have any comments. I'm learning curve real high right now. So in between learning everyone's name, policies, procedures, SOPs, the new case management system, just right now, just inundated with a lot of information. But it's all good. I'm excited to kind of get up to speed so that I can focus on employment outcomes. That's what my heart is, to get people to work. And I'm hoping that we can turn around some of our numbers in that space so that we're seeing people get to work. So I'm just glad to be here and just, to see kind of the process and meet everyone.
We're happy to have you, of course. Any other updates from anybody else on the committee? I don't know if you guys have anything to share.
Question about the case management system transition. Are the glitches mostly coming up in authorizations? That's kind of where I've been seeing them from the CAP standpoint.
The glitches are coming up in authorizations. I don't know if I would say mostly.
No, I think it's probably, from my standpoint, and since Brittany is tracking it, but from my standpoint, it's kind of a little bit here and there. I think if there are any glitches, and I would probably need specifics on what the glitches are with the authorizations, but those should be coming out. We've also started authorizing as of October 1 for job placement services, all up front, job development and job placement. So providers should be getting both an authorization for job placement, which includes all 3 milestones. So that's 30-day, 60-day, and the 90-day, as well as the placement in one authorization when we are initiating those services. And I've seen that take place, but also that's to kind of prevent the delay as we move from 1 month or one milestone to the next. So Susan, on your end, you should be seeing that coming through. I hope that's happening with RCM. And I know that my counselors have been doing that as well. And I've also been sending authorizations back to them to be readjusted if they're not doing that.
Yes, so yeah, we have been seeing some problems when it comes to authorizations, but also in addition of problems that come with staggering of what seems to be a staggered of migration. And so that's presenting a lot of different challenges. In addition, not just client information migration, but also just form migration as well. So
Documents.
We've been working diligently with them to really try to get these working even better than things were with System 7. So it's a whole new system. And we don't want it to look exactly like System 7. We do want it to surpass it. So we're working to get those upgrades in.
Any additional questions or any updates anyone would like to share?
Can I just say one thing? And I'm sure that Chloe, you don't do this, but if someone says, yes, there's an authorization problem, it's informed, that doesn't mean don't raise it to the supervisor. Please do, because we need to make sure that it's on the list, that it's being sent over to Libra so that they can track it and correct it. Yes, there've been issues, but issues aren't excuses. And so every one of those issues needs to be addressed by Libra. We're tracking them, and to the extent they're not resolving them timely, we need to be working with our Office of Contracts and Procurement around those issues. So like I said, I don't think we need to tell you, don't just accept that as an answer, but I do want to make sure people are keeping us informed whenever they see a problem.
Yeah, I will say generally the supervisors are also involved. It's been a little bit difficult to get more information about what the glitch is, like where it's coming in. So that could be helpful information in trying to escalate the issue. But it can be frustrating for the clients when it says, people say there's a glitch, but no further information is given into like, is it a glitch in a document being transferred over, a glitch in the authorization? Like, what is the holdup? So I think that's something that I've been seeing recently as the CAP advocate. And it's difficult for me to try to explain to the clients. I know there's a new system and these things will come up, but when information isn't given as to like what the glitch is or what's being done, that can be difficult.
And while I do understand that, from our point of on this side and just working with the system, we don't know what the glitch is, if that makes sense. The counselors, this is it's a completely different system, whereas system 7 we had experience. So if an error message or something popped up, I could physically read the error message and I could say, okay, this needs to be routed to this person. This is a operations issue. This is a system issue. I knew how to read and interpret the errors. With this new system, we're having to learn what those errors mean. We haven't compiled an error list or things of that sort. But I think that might be also kind of the holdback with providing that information, is that the counselors themselves don't understand what the issue or cannot interpret what the error is. They just know when they go to click approve, they can't do it. Or when they go to enter the amount of the authorization, they're unable to, get it entered. And so they just send it to the processes. They notify the supervisor of what the issue is, and then the supervisor will notify Brittany and the other project manager that we have on board, and they are to kind of liaise between Libra, or those with Informed, and we've just been keeping track. So it does seem the process has been speeding up, but it also on our end does seem a bit delayed. There's things that I've been waiting on to clear. And so that's why they've had the regular Informed meetings, to try to move these things forward. So it's better. It's not perfect, but it is getting better than when we originally transitioned from System 7. And yes, the migration of the cases, what's happening with that is there's some cases that aren't in Informed yet. They're not there. They pop up, or they're there and they haven't been assigned to the counselor. And so it looks like as though they're just kind of out in space in the case management system. And then where we are, I don't know about anybody else, but I've been having to keep System 7 on one screen and Informed on the other, and actually compare the data or what have you, review the file in itself, because I want to ensure that I'm not missing anything, as I know things have migrated over to a new system. So sometimes the glitches are operational, sometimes they're user error because we are learning the new system, and sometimes it is systematic in itself. So it's a little bit of everything there.
So can I make a comment? So we had a meeting this morning as part of the standing weekly meeting that they're having. And as you know, with any new system, you do have to learn it. So there's a learning curve there for staff. But within the system, you got to kind of assess what the glitches are within that system. So what I've seen working with Brittany is that we have put together a comprehensive list to this point on things that have been identified from multiple people, whether it was supervisors, staff, or people that are working with the program area, to put a comprehensive list together with that list, we're gonna be really kind of just going through that list, and we said that they're gonna be putting a Excel sheet together so that we can set priority to things to begin to get addressed, along with timelines. So that's our hope, that not only do we just identify what the issues are, but how are we gonna address it, get some timelines that they're gonna be addressed, and then set some priorities to the things that we've identified with the new rollout with the system.
And in addition to that, we did, there is a job announcement that went out earlier this week or end of last week that is for a project manager for the new system. So we're working on hiring an internal support. We had someone for a very long time that was doing that for System 7. And he did a really good job. So this will be big shoes to fill, definitely. But we are kind of hoping to have that same approach so that we have somebody internally that can troubleshoot, internally with us. So that's coming soon.
The other thing I think will be important, and maybe it's already happening, but we'll also remind all of the counselors that when this happens, that they should be providing regular updates. Sometimes people will say, I'll let you know when it's fixed.
Yeah.
Well, the person then thinks, oh, you just forgot about me. I think a better thing is I'll check in with you every Tuesday morning and let you know the status, just so that the person knows we're still looking at it, we're still trying to fix it. I haven't forgotten you. And it's a hard call. Counselors have a hard time telling people there's something broken and I can't fix it. Like, you become a counselor because you want to fix things for people. And so making that call is sometimes hard. And so, so it's very important that they are regularly checking in to let the person know, here's the status. Because it is frustrating for us when it says, exceeds the amount in the plan, and we're looking at the plan and it doesn't exceed the amount in the plan. And, we in System 7 knew how to fix that. And so we're having to work with Libra to address these issues. And it's very important, as I say, that we keep people posted. Here's where we are with resolving that for you.
Yeah, I do think regular updates would help, but that does sound incredibly frustrating and difficult on your end. And I just want to recognize that that you're going through that. So sorry, it's not going smoother.
Just growing pains.
On a note about hiring, is there any update on hiring for a new transition manager?
Yes. I think that is
That went out
currently
too.
posted.
Yeah, that went out
The
earlier
transition
this week.
program manager is posted, and it's posted externally. There's a lot of really well-qualified folks at Department of Ed looking for jobs right now. So, unfortunately, but
Fortunately.
they're gonna go somewhere, so we might as well benefit.
Because I do think it could be helpful for the SRC to get kind of an overview of the new pre-EDS layout. I know it's not necessarily new anymore, but moving from DCPS, like being in charge of pre-EDS, to moving internal to RSA. I know there were a lot of plans and implementing that. So an update on how that's going. I know that's difficult to do without the transition program manager, but to the extent that's possible, just to hear how it's going, how the new team members are working in RSA, working with the transition team. I think that could be helpful for an upcoming SRC meeting.
I think we could do that at our next meeting.
Yeah.
Just that, I don't want to put the person out there, but I'm pretty certain the project manager could provide just what you're asking for. But we could definitely be in a position to put that on the agenda for the January meeting.
And then, not to keep, dominating the conversation, but there's a new resource that I think could be helpful for RSA counselors to know about, to distribute to their clients. there's a new DC resource bridge that's kind of a new intake system for legal issues within the district that's connected to all sorts of legal providers. To the idea is to not have people having to call around to 10 different organizations to get help with a legal issue, but to call one number. So they're only doing certain issues right now, but I think that could be really helpful for RSA clients to know about for these other issues that come up that their RSA counselor can't help them with. So I can send that information if that's something you guys are open to.
That would be great.
Cool. And they're going to try and expand that to more topics. I think right now there's family law, public benefits issues, maybe housing, but that's been in progress for a long time and it's finally up and running. So that's exciting. And we have a new CAP flyer. So I was wondering if we could put that in the DDS office, just like at the flyer table.
Yeah. We used to have those up too in all the interview rooms at some point. So, but definitely, please. If you send it to us electronically, we can print here.
Okay, great. Yeah, can do.
This is Allison. Chloe,
And
can you send that to me too?
Yeah, the DC resource bridge.
That and the CAP flyer.
On the CAP flyer, yeah.
Yeah.
For
We
sure.
get calls about that too.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
Thanks.
Alrighty, any other last minute comments or thoughts? Any events you want to share?
I want to shout out the employment summit that happened since the last meeting. And I know Allison and the DD Council worked so hard on that. And it was a great event. It's always, I think it's a great annual event, always fun to see other people in the employment space and just come together as a group and meet new people. So just wanted to give a shout out to Allison, the DD Council, and RSA for being there. And it was a great event.
Thank you. Yeah, this is Allison. We take the lead on the planning committee and have great partners on that planning committee. So it's definitely a team effort. Susan's on that with us and folks from DDS and all over the place. Kevin Wright leads that up for us. So it's good. Thank you. We are, on that note, we're in the process of developing our next 5-year state plan, gathering input from the community on what we should include in the next 5-year state plan. So similar to probably what RSA is going through with a needs assessment, you know, we're doing something similar and getting input from the community. So the Employment First Summit was definitely something we envisioned in the current state plan. And I think employment is always going to be an important part of our work. And what that looks like going forward is you know, kind of up to the community to design with us. So just invite anybody's thoughts on all of that. And I'll throw out another question. Maybe I don't think there's really an answer, but I feel like the elephant in the room here is stuff going on the federal level and all of the layoffs, firings, Department of Ed, and sort of the federal infrastructure for RSA. And I am wondering if there's anything we should be doing about that right now or thinking about, or any way that we need to fill gaps. Yeah.
There was a a case brought, it's weird because it was brought in California, but anyway, there was a case brought on behalf of all of it was all OSER staff who were RIFed. All of them except two were RIFed. All RSA staff but two were RIFed. And all of those RIFs were reversed in a preliminary injunction from a court in California. The idea that there would be RSA with no staff whatsoever is just confounding. They left in place one person who is the fiscal person who's responsible for receiving all of our annual fiscal reports. But they riffed everyone effective like December 9th. For right now, that's been reversed. As far as we know, and there was a Council of State Administrators of Vocational Rehabilitation. Their conference is this week. The directors meeting was on Sunday. So the discussions are still ongoing about where RSA will land. There have been suggestions of that being either HHS or Department of Labor. The consensus amongst all the directors at CSAVR is that it ought to be labor, not Health and Human Services. And because of a real concern that there'd be a medical model for rehabilitation services. And the CSAVR is putting together some sort of, I don't know if you'd call them recommendations, expressions of, but anyway, their hopes, if it does go over to labor, what should be included in that in terms of a letter that CSAVR would send to whoever it is that ultimately is responsible for any transition that occurs. Up until not that long ago, I was not concerned at all. I still think that the whole riffing the whole department was just was performative and not real, because I don't know what they would expect. They did not eliminate the grant funds. So would they just not have monitoring? Not have anyone check whether we've met our match each year? They would just give us the funds every year. It didn't really make sense. And those folks at Department of Education do provide us with guidance and support. And so, but anyway, for now, they've all been restored to their jobs. The discussions about where RSA will land, whether that's to continue at Department of Education or move to labor, which I think those are the two most likely scenarios, with the most likely being labor. And then the question is, if you go to labor, where do you land within labor? And they can make asks about it, but the decision would then be made by labor about which administration they would fall under, or if they would continue to have a commissioner who's presidentially appointed, all of those kinds of questions. We still don't have a commissioner while we're at the Department of Education. We have an acting commissioner, which is the career person who's in place until a commissioner gets. There hasn't even been a commissioner appointed by the president who's up for consideration by the Senate yet. We're how many months into the administration? So we just keep plugging along. That's everything I know.
I appreciate the update. Thanks.
Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good morning. My apologies. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, Director Reese, are this issue that you just brought up, will this be reflected in the mid-cycle state plan? Because I have been trying to get some direction from Department of Labor, and of course, everybody is out. So there's nothing we can do. We're gonna plug along. We'll still move forward with the state planning with the idea that it is due in March. We also are in the process of putting together economic and labor analysis for the state plan, contemplating the fact that when we submitted the full state plan, it was before the new administration. And so to the point that somebody made about the federal government, that is going to be very much the backdrop of this mid-cycle plan, is that we have all of these federal workers that are laid off or fired. We have a government shutdown that is now been about 37 days. We have the issue with the SNAP program and the fact that, you know, the feds don't want to, well, effective now, there is no SNAP benefits. The SNAP benefits are being supported at the state level. You've seen what the governor of Maryland has done, providing $10 million to a lot of the food banks because they know there's going to be an increase. And Mayor Bowser, who has said that she is going to cover it for the month of November. You know, as we head into the holidays, you know, we've got folks who normally would have no problem going to the grocery store and shopping, and now are coming to the food banks. So it is increasing the number of people going to the food banks above and beyond folks that normally are accessing the food banks. So this late fall, November into January is going to be a very tenuous time. And there's a lot of unknown about benefits and, you know, how long benefits are going to be supported at the federal level and what the states are going to be doing. So it is positive that we have the Democrat switch into the Virginia leadership, including the governor and such. So hopefully we'll get some state support around some of this, but it's very concerning.
I'll just say none of what I discussed will have any impact on our portion of the state plan because we still do what we do. They eliminated the Department of Education portal into the state plan, and it's all going in through labor now. But the work we do is the work we do, and wherever the folks who monitor us land, we'll report to them where they land. But our work remains the same. And that's what our plan is for, is our work. And up to this point, there's been no suggestion about any changes to our grant. And that's what governs what we can do, is our federal grant and our local funding to support that.
That's great. Are you all seeing any increase in the kinds of folks that are coming looking for services? Like, are you seeing more federal or any federal workers that are coming your way?
I can't say that that's happening. Any workers that we've received, actually, I did and someone that I think had been employed since I was working in the sensory unit. He just came in just to request a Schedule A letter, but did not request, you know, additional services. That's been my only interaction. As far as my team is concerned, I do know some of the clients maybe that were employed like in the Ability One sector at some of these federal offices have came, and there we had a few who were pending employment with federal agencies when the transition occurred. And so they were already kind of in limbo from the beginning. They had not yet started full-time employment as yet. So that's what's been happening in my unit that I am aware of.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other feedback or comments, questions? If not, I say we can conclude for this month, and we will resume back in January of next year. I do encourage the committees to continue to meet. Myself or Charliza can help with scheduling or sending out an invite if you need assistance with that. But I would recommend, with the exception of like the nominating committee, which Allison said you had planned to kind of meet bi-weekly, but for the other committees, at least one meeting or one meeting each month or just one meeting between now and then. And if you have any other questions or concerns, you can just shoot us an email. And I thank you for your time today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.